I'm excited about International Women's Day. I think for me, it represents a lot. It does. And it's always a moment where we reflect on how far we've come as women in this journey of seeking women empowerment and seeking more for women. And when I think about it, I look at just some of the things that we have today, that we used to pray for, that we used to go on the streets for, and that we're celebrating now. And I mean, we've made incredible strides. There's still many countries out there where women don't go to school and are not allowed to go to school. And here in Zimbabwe, it's not like that. There's still countries where women cannot lead, and where people believe that they will not listen to a woman if she's a manager. There's still places like that in this world, and it's not like that here. There's still places where inheritance issues still favor the boy child, and I think here to some extent it's still there, but I think people are starting to evolve around that issue. So there are quite a number of things that have systematically changed over the gender issues, and yeah, I think that's what makes me celebrate it. I think just having that day set aside helps to remind us every single year of the journey we've walked and the journey we're yet to walk. I think about it sometimes just like a week ago, we had a management development program here at Winfield Business School, and I observed that only 12% of the managers that came for that program, which is a life-changing program, were female. And I was so concerned by that, because there are people in organizations who are making decisions about who goes for these programs. And the fact that only 12% of the participants are women and the rest are male, it perpetuates the gender gap that we have in the C-suite, because these women now are being left out of big opportunities like this that can help them to advance and to move to the next level. I was really concerned and worried about what could we do and how could we make this better. And I worried about it a lot because I have a daughter, and I don't want her to grow up in a world where she's not judged by the content of what she can contribute, but by her gender. I really don't want her to grow up in a world like that. And I think we have so much more to do to help people be aware of some of those unconscious biases that perpetuate and cause the gender gap to continue to grow when it shouldn't. Something else for me that I find interesting around issues to do with International Women's Day is just the pressure that's put on women around work-life balance, around fulfilling being a super mom and then being a super CEO, or being a super mom and then being a super manager, which is sometimes next to impossible to achieve. And I always say, even to ask someone the question, how are you balancing work and life? I think it's the wrong question. I really do think that our work is our life, and that it's hard that you could be born and live on this earth and not work. So you can't call work, you can't sort of separate life from work. Our work is our life. And when you ask that question, you sort of force us to think, oh my God, I'm working, I'm not living. And you make us feel guilty about all the things that we've achieved over time, and even the milestones that we've created. So I think for me, those are the kind of things that come to my mind when I think about International Women's Day. I hope every woman out there celebrates this day and recognizes the journey that we've walked and what we've achieved so far, which is worth celebrating. I think, like I said earlier on, one of them is just management and people in organizations recognizing that there is unconscious bias in companies that affects decisions about who goes for development programs, who gets mentored, which then affects who gets to the C-suite. And so people must be conscious of the fact that they may have those biases and call themselves to order. For me, that's the first thing around unconscious bias. The second thing that I think is we must also look at there are institutional biases that exist which make life difficult for women. I want to talk about, for example, access to capital, right? Institutions will say they want title deeds or they want proof of residence. All of those things in patriarchal societies have the man's name. The title deeds by patriarchal societal rules have the man's name. Even though I own the house, my name is not there. And so a lot of women are excluded from access to capital because of institutionalized rules of a patriarchal society that have perpetuated over the years. And I think those are some of the things people need to rethink and say, okay, if this has been institutionalized over the years, how do we overnight create opportunities for women to have more access to capital where, they will probably are not on title deeds and will never be on them. And they're not on the proof of residence from City of Araya and will never be on them. So how do they identify themselves and get access to credit and build businesses to sustain their families?